There is something that needs to be said, and it's going to sound bad. Pokemon Legends ZA was not a bad game. That's okay. If you want to make me the enemy, that's fine. I really don't care. People have been hating this game left and right on the internet, and it feels like more of the hate is aimed at Pokemon Company and what they've done in the past than the actual game itself. We live in a heightened era of hate when it comes to Nintendo. These surface area reviews and these surface area replies trying to generate some sense of a movement against the company, and they don't actually talk about the goods and the bads of a game. If you look at the Metacritic ratings, you can see the user score and the actual Metacritic score from verified publishers varies drastically. And there's been a lot of people from various different sources on the internet talking a lot about how this game lacks polish, how it lacks feedback, how it lacks smoothness, how the game has bad plot advancement, how the game has bad story, how the game has bad battle mechanics, how the game has... I just want to sit down and think about it. My genuine question to everybody is, what the hell are you talking about? This game was great. It's not the craziest game in the world, but it's not deserving of a 3 out of 10 from most people. I hate the specific reviews pointing out the game's battle mechanic and saying that it's nothing special, because this is what honestly a lot of people have been wanting out of a Pokemon game for a very long time. Turn-based combat for Pokemon in general has started to run dry in terms of liking it. I actually enjoyed interacting with trainer battles more than I ever have in any previous Pokemon game before, because they changed the combat and the way that you can initiate battles, sneaking up on trainers, landing the first hit. If you get caught out, that's on you. It adds more depth and it adds a little bit more that makes it more progressible and less tedious, so that every trainer battle doesn't feel drawn out and tedious. I won't lie and say that there aren't tedious trainer battles that aren't forced onto you in the mainline story of the game, but I think that what the Pokemon Company and the Pokemon developers have done with this particular game has bridged that gap in a sense to give players the option to speed up the combat if they want. They really did take a lot of lessons from Pokemon Legends Arceus and improved upon them in Pokemon Legends ZA. This game also ties in very heavily with Pokemon X and Y, and it fills in a lot of gaps and gives us a lot of backstory on the events of X and Y, and is meant to be a palate cleanser for the main story of this game. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that aren't playing Pokemon games for the story, but the story is a pretty major part of what makes these Pokemon games Pokemon, and if you don't care about the region that you're in, it's going to be hard to actually enjoy the gameplay experience and get immersed into it. And I'm not going to say that this has Dark Souls level of lore and that this game has D&D levels of progression and different things that you can do, but I will say that I really enjoyed this story, and it's the first story that had me feeling a lot of emotions. And I can't really talk more about that, because if you finish the game, well, if you know, you know. I had a smooth experience. I never had a crash. I never had stuttering. I never had slowdowns. When I was fighting in the actual Mega Evolution scenes where you get to fight certain Mega Evolved Pokemon, I never had slowdowns. And even then, those modes were so action-packed, and I was still able to progress through those modes as well and have a really good time. They were able to not only have these dedicated wild areas in the game, but also blend Pokemon seamlessly into the natural environment as well. There are times where you could find Pokemon lurking around in certain trees or in certain environments where that Pokemon would normally be found, and you would be able to catch it and interact with it in any other way. But it kind of created a sense of seamlessness within the world. Kalos just being one giant map is one of the biggest criticisms that the game has had, but when you're actually playing in the game, the development of the game and the progression of the game and the overall story makes Kalos feel like a never-ending world with many ups and downs and areas to go in and explore. I think that the battle system in combination with a pretty decent story helped me get from beginning to end, and it's even keeping me in the game after the fact, with many different areas of interest that have opened up for me to catch certain Pokemon. Now again, I'm not going to say that this game is perfect. I'm not going to say that this is the game to play on Nintendo Switch. I think that spot is reserved for games like Donkey Kong Bonanza and soon to be Kirby Air Riders. But I will say that if you got the extra money, or maybe if you're buying it for a friend or a family member that you think would enjoy a role-playing experience, this might be the game to go for. And I don't want the internet reviews, especially the negative users that didn't even play the game, to drift your concerns. It's not that bad of a game, and honestly, if you give it at least 5 hours of time starting off, I think you'll start to understand a lot of things that I'm saying in this video. I will say that there are some things that bug me about this game. I think that having Mega Stones for certain Pokemon online is pretty annoying, especially since, like, for example, this game released in October, but people probably won't open this game up and get it until December, which means that there's going to be a lot of late Christmas gifts and people not being able to capitalize on the fact that these Mega Stones are unlockable online. Or there may just be individuals that can't play online as well. There are a lot of negative things about that, and I wish that the Pokemon Company would clarify a bit of things, because I feel like they're creating a lot of FOMO, and that's not something that I want them to push their game with. I think they shouldn't have announced the DLC so early and made it available for purchase so early without letting the user in on what's going to be in this DLC and how it's going to take place. I personally haven't purchased the $20 DLC yet. I am waiting for more confirmation on how this is all going to work and what more of the story will we get in this game to justify the purchase of it for $20. The lack of Pokemon here is very interesting, especially considering because when we had Sword and Shield, there was a big national dex movement that I am not seeing anywhere. Like, I'm seeing people complain about the fact that there's only about 230 Pokemon in the game, but I am not seeing people complain about the fact that there is no national dex, which is very interesting considering that that was a gigantic wave of momentum that just died the moment Scarlet and Violet came out. So I do find that very interesting. I do think that the Pokemon Company has failed in the past with certain games. I do think that they have failed their consumer bases with the performance of their previous titles and has completely neglected the fact that there needs to be a smooth experience involved to give their consumers the best game that they could possibly play. I will say that. I'm not gonna just negate that and not gonna forgive them about it. I haven't forgotten. But this is the first Pokemon game that I have put my hands on that has been a smooth experience from beginning to end, and I believe that this is the turning point where we start to see Game Freak and Pokemon Company and Nintendo starting to ship games with higher quality in mind, and the bar is starting to rise extremely high with this. There are a lot of people who are purchasing this game that are seeing it for what it is and seeing what Pokemon Company can do. So the bar is extremely high, and there is now a higher expectation for the quality of these games. And I believe that the Pokemon Company will follow through with it in the future because they have definitely set the bar here with this title. I want to know what y'all think about all of the discourse online regarding Pokemon Legends ZA. I want to know what your experiences are. If you can, try and give a spoiler warning down in the comments before you say something so we don't ruin any experiences out there of people that may have to wait to Christmas to get this game. Whether you like the game or not, I want to hear what you think, and whether you like my opinions or not, I would like to hear that as well, so we can have a nice good conversation about it in the comment section as well. Before you click off the video, check this out. I promise you don't have to like, you don't have to subscribe, but I wanted everyone to see this because, man, this makes me excited. Look at this, look at this, look. Ta-da! I love cardboard.